All right, what's going on? This is King, listening to King Cam Ujumbe podcast and Ujumbe means message, and we are here. Yes, this is Monday. No, this is not our usual weekend situation. I am glad that you are here. Uh, get ready. We're gonna sit back, relax, get something to write on, something to write with. What's going on to the fam? What's going on, Isu? I see you. What's going on? I hope all is well with you. Now we're gonna talk about mysteries of African cosmology. Yep, yep. Today is the day. As promised, as promised. Today is the day we're going to talk about the mysteries of African cosmology, star codes, Nile myths, and creation cycles. Yeah, we about to get into it. We about to get into it. I brought a few things from my library downstairs. I'm going to share it with y'all in a few, but I'm glad all is well. I hope all is well with you. I'm glad that you guys are here. Much love to the fan wherever you are. And so let's get down to the business. So today we're going to answer some of these questions. We're going to answer some of these questions. What did our ancestors know about the cosmos? Okay, because they've been in the Nile Valley, in and through the Nile Valley for eons now. So they had to contemplate the hidden one or the unmoved mover. So, and the next question would be, what is the Nile's role in cosmic storytelling? And how do stars guide our soul and the seasons? Let me get to this. The soul and the seasons. What is the hidden code buried in African creation myths? What's going on? I hope all is well with you. So today, we're going to talk about the Nile as heaven's mirror, star codes and African calendars, African creation stories, and a spiral of time, divine forces. Yeah, we're going to talk about divine forces, temples, stargates, and sacred sites. Bonus segment, Kemet and Congo connection. Somebody asked the question. Somebody asked me, what is the connection between the Congo and Kemet? Today is the day. We're going to have that conversation. And we got new member shout outs, and I'm checking roll. What's going on? Let me see who else is in here. Let me see who else is in here before we go. Greet everybody as you come in. Hit the like button. Jumbo. What's going on, Library Without Borders? Yeah, you're not late. You're just in time. So join us for a transformative journey through African star knowledge while we deal with the Happy Valley mythology and ancient spiritual science. This is going to be a little, we're gonna take our time. I know it's not our usual Sunday night session, but we're gonna unpack some things. We're gonna unpack the cosmological codes hidden in the creation stories. We're gonna deal with it. We're gonna talk about the Dogon today. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Zulu today, the Yoruba today. Man, it's gonna be that day. Yeah, you did. You made a humble request. Today is your day. What's going on, Sister Haynes? What's going on, Sister Haynes? What's going on, Jamis Eagle, King Cam? What's going on, Peace Fam? Yeah, this is gonna be good. Now I'm gonna tell you this. Hold on, let me get this. I'm gonna tell you this. I do not claim to be an expert in none of these things. I just enjoy all of these things. You hear what I said? You see what I'm saying? I do not claim to be an expert in none of these things. I just enjoy all of these things. I love African customs. I love African culture. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about, because we talked about the connection, and we're going to connect the whole continent if we can. All right, let's get it. So, the Nile as heaven's mirror. The Nile is heaven's mirror. See, in African cosmology, the Nile is that cultural incubator. That is the thing that connects us, that connects everybody. That is a 4,100-mile like an umbilical cord. See what I'm saying? So we're going to talk about how it's the heaven's mirror in a second. Let's go. So the Nile, when Sirius or Subdet rose in the sky before dawn, the Nile begins its flooding. Okay, Sirius is the wife of Sa or Orion. Okay, their child is Subdu. The flood was seasonal and it was a spiritual thing. It was the breath of the Neteru, the renewal of life, and the reset of time. What's going on? Enough is enough. What's going on? Greet everybody as you come in. Thank you. All right. So, so when we talk about Mami Wata, when we talk about Umoja, it had to come from somewhere, and it came from the Happy River, the Nile River. So we had to give a nod. We had to give deference to the river mothers, and our fathers, and the things that connect to from the Nile River from the Happy River to the Milky Way by way of transformation. That is a spiritual activation system, right? So let's begin where it all begins, right? To our ancestors in Kemet and Kush, the Nile, it was more than a river. It was the earthly reflection of the Milky Way. It was the unseen sacred artery of creation, right? Flowing from the spirit world of the south all the way up to the north. That it was a conduit. The Nile River was a connection between the spirit world and the physical world, right? So we have like I said, when Sirius and Subdat rose in the sky, they had a son. Their child was Subdu. Okay. Now, the Subdu, the nectar of the eastern region, he protected the frontier. He was mentioned in the pyramid text, right? So I didn't know that Subdat and Sa had a son. There we have it. Okay. He is the Lord of the East. Okay. He protected the frontier. So this is the name. This is what it looks like. We're going to do a little meta-nature breakdown also. You know how we do it. We know how we do it. This is the name of the meta-nature. Very top, Subdu. Okay. Now, did you know he also has a city named after him? Yeah. Yeah. It is called Per-Subdu, or Per means house of. Okay. Subdu. It's the capital of the 20th nome in Lower Egypt. So this is what the meta-nature breakdown of that city. As you can see, the little box, and that means the house. And of course, as we mentioned before, the circle with the X reflects the fact that that is a place. That's a designation. And it is the 20th nome of Lower Egypt. Now, okay, and so the 20th nome, I know it's kind of hard to see it, but whenever you get a chance to pause it, Subdu, the 20th nome, is right around here. Okay, is right around here. It's right in the Nile Delta area with a lot of moisture, a lot of water, a lot of things flowing through there. So that's Mennefer. That's Waset in the south. Okay, and Subdu, like I said, the city of Subdu is right here, or the nome of Subdu. Okay, yeah. So that's what that is. Now, so Subdat continue to remain central to cultural depictions of the year and to celebrations of the Web Rempet, the Egyptian New Year. Now, as I mentioned earlier, a couple of times, when Sirius rises, say in September, that marks the Ethiopian New Year. And the same thing here. When Sirius is seen, okay, that marks the beginning of the new year. So now, on the image here, the image on the left here shows Haru. Okay, the Haru is right here, at the very top, and then we have the palace right there, of the palace of the Insibiti, or the king, right? And we have the bull, and some people say, which is the form of Subdat, and or like we would say sometimes, that kind of represents Heteru. Now, speaking of that, yeah. Out the gate early, we're going to talk about the ancient astronomers of Nubia. Yeah, there is some connection. I think Sister Haynes kind of been asking about this. There is some connection with Naphtaliah, Heteru, and the people of Nubia. Yep, we're going to get into that in a few weeks, and it is coming out of this book here, The Black Genesis, Prehistoric Origins of Ancient Egypt. They talked about how the stones was lined up to another major constellation. We kind of touched on the fact that the Heru and Maquette, or the Sphinx, was in line with the constellation of Leo. That wasn't the only stone monument that was connected to some stars. So we're going to talk about ancient astronomers of Nubia in a few weeks. So let's get it. So now, At Pele, the temple of Aset faced the rising Osiris, her guiding star. At Gabel Bakar, we talked about that in our previous video when it came down to the kings of Napata and the Magi. Gabel Bakar is a mountain. It is a sacred mountain in Nubia. It is a sacred mountain. It was believed to be the house of the spiritual essence of Amun, or the hidden one, and served as a throne of divine kingship. These alignments reveal an intentional sacred relationship between architecture, cosmology, and ritual. The Nile was also seen as a spiritual map. Okay, the spiritual map: east represented rebirth and the sunrise, west represented death, right, and transition. And so when they take that journey to the imperishable stars, shout out to to our brother Malcolm Jamal Warner. He has become an imperishable star. So these cities, these cemeteries and temples were placed in symbolic alignment with this belief. They wanted to line up with the Nile River, the Happy River, and the stars. So you see the Nile River right there. We see the pyramids of Giza. We see Subdet right here, Sirius and Sa'u. Okay, and there are times when the Milky Way will line right up with the Nile River. So the Nile River would go up, and then the Milky Way would go into the celestial sphere. See what I'm saying? Now, so then, like I said, the Nile is a spiritual map. It represented rebirth and sunrise. So, like I said, if you're enjoying this so far, like and subscribe so you don't miss anything, because we're about to go a little bit further into detail. This is a little warmer. This is a preview. Imagine the river that mirrors your soul. Okay, the Nile River that mirrors your soul and flow connected to your actual cycle, your birth, your ancestors, and your afterlife. This is not just a geography lesson or a history lesson. This is a spiritual concept. Okay, so I got a question for the fan. What does the Nile River, or what does any river close to you, represent to you? Okay, is it memory? Is it origin? Is it time? Okay, let me know. Type it, hit the like button, comment below. What does the river, any river, not just a happy river, because some of us are thousands of miles away. What does it mean to you? Me, it means peace. Okay, it means it's time to relax. It's a very relaxing situation if I'm sitting next to a river or a stream. What's going on, Sister Linda? Good evening. Okay, good evening, Sister Linda. I hope all is well with you. Okay, good evening. She said, good evening, King Cam, and everyone. Hit the like button as you come in. This is gonna be great. Baba Yakia, he's over there in Morocco. He's probably asleep. But when he wake up, he'll mess around and find out about this. It's gonna be fun. Let's go. All right, star codes and African calendars. Now, I asked my students in the high school, I would ask my students, have you ever went stargazing? Have you ever at night just looked up in the sky? They said, huh? No, you gotta star watch. You gotta gaze. You got to look at the heavens as they are. So I would encourage you later on today, if not tomorrow night, open your eyes to the sky. Look and think about our African ancestors, our African civilizations, where they were astrologers, they were star scientists mapping the heavens with astounding precision. They weren't, it wasn't just to do something to say that they're doing it. It was part of the ritual. It was part of their process, right? So, and need I remind you that some of these people have been observing this for thousands of years, so they can predict when and where the star is going to be. You see what I'm saying? So, speaking of that, we got the Dogon people. Yep, the Dogon of Mali. They knew about Sirius B. They knew about it. Matter of fact, there's been talks that it is not only a binary star system, but it has 3 stars. Okay, and they knew about it. They knew about Sirius B, a star invisible to the naked eye, long before the development of modern telescopes. Their oral cosmology described it as a dense pulsating companion star, which they would call Potolo. Okay, Potolo. Okay, shout out to Yaki Ashabaka. Check him out. He put me up on this. He taught me. He told me about this. Potolo, or the seed of creation. Okay, their entire cosmology revolved around cycles of twin stars, spirals, and a celestial return. Okay, now get this: like the binary star system consists of two stars, right? Sirius A, a main sequence star, and Sirius B, a faint white dwarf. The brightness in the night sky is due to its intrinsic luminosity and relative to proximity to Earth. Okay, I see what's going on. I'm Theo B. He's back in the shout out to Rock Illumination. We had a good time, Theo B. He's like, I ain't saying, I'm just saying, yeah, I had to let him cook. That was great. We're gonna have to bring them on before we take a break in September. Yes, we are going to take a break in September, and we're gonna have to bring Theo B out because we got some more questions after the fact. All right. What's going on, Brother Mo? What's going on? Came just in time. So yeah, the binary star system, two stars, Sirius A and B. And so they knew about this. The Dogon people knew about this and they was paying attention. Sirius A, really quick, was a main sequence star about twice as massive as the sun. It's about 25 times more luminous. Sirius B is a white dwarf. The remnant core of its star that is exhausted is nuclear fuel. So the Dogon people looked up in the sky and saw this without Europe, without the Western world, without a calendar. Okay, without that. So Sirius C, while Sirius A and B are well documented, some astronomers and the Dogon people believe there is existence of a Sirius C. This hypothesis stems from observed anomalies in the orbital pattern. So this makes it a 3-star system. And the Dogon, the people of Africa, the ancestors knew about it. They saw it and they was mapping it out. And some of them would even go, I'm gonna go out there and say that a lot of them would say the ancestors or the most ancient ancestors came from this. You know, what's going on, Grand Madam Terra? What's going on? And so Sirius A is called Sigitolo, Sirius B is Potolo, and the Dogon also spoke about the third star, Imiyatolo. This is a trinity of stars here. Okay, and that represented the man, woman, and child, the feminine aspect of creation, which is Sirius C. All right, so the Dogon, when it comes down to their cosmology, okay, they also describe the normal amphibious ancestral spirits who came from Sirius, bringing sacred knowledge, bringing agriculture, language, and order. Whether myth or metaphor, the normal represented a deeply encoded memory of a civilizing force from the stars. So the people of Dogon, the Dogon people, believe that either the ancestors came from there or the Noma was the great ancestral spirits. See what I'm saying? That came from this star system. Now, Brother Mo asked a question months ago: Is this the 3 wise men, like in the New Testament? Was it the 3 wise men that was looking for the star in the east and they came to worship? Y'all check that episode out, the Sirius star system and Dogon mythology. I can't really go into detail about that because we got to talk about the Yoruba, we got to talk about the Zulu and all that. And I got another bonus 2 up my sleeve, and we got to answer Sister Librarian Without Borders question. We got to answer her question. Now, since we're here, let's get into some science. Since we're in this thing, since we're in here, since we're all together and you got your pen and paper, let's get into some science. All right. Now, dealing with the Kemetic science in Kemet. Here we go. This is something that I've been kind of watching the last few years. I kind of nerd out on these kind of things, but in Kemet, time was regulated using decans. That is 36 constellations that rose on the horizon in 10-day intervals. So get this, out of the 12 constellations or the 12 stars of zodiac, there are 3 decans or 3 other constellations that are attached to it. Yeah, the people of Kemet was really into it. Okay, so where we're focused on, say, the 12 that the Greco-Roman world gave us, they had 36 in conjunction to the 12. Okay, this formed the base of 360-day calendar with 5 epigeminal days reserved for the birth of the 5 gods, or the 5 Neteru: Osiris, Isis, Set, Nephthys, and Horus. Now, there are some people that like to jump in and comment. I know it ain't the fam. I know it ain't the fam. I know it ain't the fam. But there are some people that like to jump in the chat and say it ain't Osiris, it's Osiris. For instructional purposes only. For instructional purpose, we all understand the original terminology and the original phrase for it, bro. The come on now. We can't get caught up in semantics to where we miss the teaching or we miss the principles, right? So the 5 Neteru: Osiris or Asar, Isis or Aset, Set, Nephthys, and Heru. These were the hidden days outside of time. Okay, powerful for initiation days, fasting, and vision. So these days were sacred. And I know King Hercules is not on here, but King Hercules, he did a discussion on Black mathematics talking about that hidden space. Okay, he broke down an algebraic equation and said there the people of Kemet wrote they had the math so down pat to where they wrote an equation or a formula about the hidden space. See what I'm saying? So yeah. Shout out to the fam. So yeah, they had deacons, 36 constellations attached to the 12 constellations, right? So this is what it would look like in a sense, right? We have Subdet, which is Sirius. We have Sa or Orion, and then all of the decanal stars. So when you see this, when you see it, especially when it's above at the ceiling of the tomb, right? We see it at the ceiling of the tomb. You see those stars like that. A lot of those clusters are the deacons, right? So for example, for Cancer, this is, my birthday was last week. Cancer season. Cancer, it was connected to Septet, Tepa Kenmut, and Kenmut. So for Cancer season, whatever your zodiac is, check out the deacons in the astrological calendar. You'll find it. Okay. But for Cancer season, since we're still in that season, these are the 3 deacons for that: Septet, Tepa Kenmut, and Kenmut, right? So the Dendera calendar, carved in the ceiling of the temple of Heteru, is one of the clearest visual examples of this knowledge, showing planets, showing constellations, showing eclipses, and alignments with divine geometry. This is a colored or in color version of that. Okay, and you can there are different star signs or zodiac signs, and then the deacons that are affiliated with, and then the 4 pillars or the major pillars and equinoxes here. So we have the 4 cardinal points, we have the equinoxes, and all the stars in between. That's what they was writing about, bro. It's heavy. You see what I'm saying? And so it's not just for the physical, and it wasn't just for the spiritual, it was for the celestial, for the stars also. Okay. Yeah. So this is in the Temple of Dendera, Temple of Heteru. Yeah. Our people need this. Thank you. Yeah, no problem. Let's continue. I really appreciate that. All right. So this is another representation of that. Okay. This is another representation of that. I love pictures. And so these are the deacons here. And this is the solar boat. We may break that down in the coming weeks, but and this, of course, the Meta Nature. And this is the goddess Nut, the goddess of the sky, Nut, and she is receiving the sun, and then later on she would give birth to the sun. Okay, these are all the deacons here lined up. They're not just people standing there. They're representing either a Neteru or a star. And our ancestors believed that we were stars. Matter of fact, the Zulu, they believed that there was the children of the sun, literally. See what I'm saying? So this is another illustration here. So So far, we talked about Nile as heaven's mirror, star codes, and African calendars, African creation stories. That's about to come up. So, temple, stargates, and sacred sites, and we got a bonus segment for Library Without Borders. But I thought about it when I think about the Zulu star knowledge speaks about lion stars. They speak about lion stars, great celestial beings who regulate the seasons and protect the earth. Their sky stories include warnings of imbalance and rituals of realignment. To the Zulu, the stars are the ancestors. You know, like the story. What's that story? Um, Lion King, where the ancestors became stars, or like the pyramid text, where the ancestors became imperishable stars. They were still alive and it was listening. And check this out: the Ethiopian calendar. Shout out to the family Ethiopia. They still use that calendar today. They use it today, and it encompasses it's comprised of 13 months, 12 to 30 days, and one of the three and one of 3 or 5 days. So in 1 week, 3 to 6 days. I'm sorry. It reflects the ancient Coptic tradition. And speaking of that, in a few weeks, we're going to talk about how the Ethiopian church emancipated themselves from the Coptic church. We're going to talk about that, even though they have similar theologies or whatever, but they had to break away from them. Okay, so the Coptic tradition, which is self-rooted in Kemetic solar lunar calendar. Speaking of that, look this up. Look this up. The Coptic calendar, the Coptic church calendar, the church that is founded in Egypt by Saint Mark. Their months, some of those months are the names of the Neteru. Some of those months are the names of the Neteru. Okay. So they are still connected to Kemetic solar lunar system. Ethiopia also follows a different count of years, placing them roughly about 7 to 8 years behind. I think I've been told they're still in 2017. Okay, they're behind the Gregorian calendar, but their new year is in September and not in January. Now, shout out to the family in Ghana. The family in Ghana, the Akan, the week is linked to a planetary system. Okay, the people are named by the day they're born, like Kofi, Akuna, and Abina. Not only labels, but it is a connection to the planets and to the stars and to the ancestors. So let's go. Now, African creation stories. Yeah, and the spiral of time. African creation story. There are so many of them. Okay, I don't claim to be an expert. Like I said, I enjoy them. I don't claim to be an expert in none of these. I just like them. So we dealt with the celestial river. We dealt with the calendar and deal with the blocks of heaven. Now we're about to go into the myths that birthed the world. Okay, the sacred temples aligned with the stars and stargates that whisper names. Right, but before we get into that, though, got a review. According to the video, Secrets of the Magi, Kushite warriors who protected the Nubian pharaohs. Which Kushite king? Okay, the question is which Kushite king? I said Kushite. Which Kushite king used siege warfare to defeat the kings of Egypt? Okay, somebody picked Tutmosis III. I said Kushite. But if you selected King Pi, you got it correct, and you have an A. You got an A for the day. So yeah, according to the Secrets of the Magi, Kushite was who protected the Nubian pharaohs. King Pi was the Kushite king, and he handled business. Right. So let's continue. All right. So now, before we go further, I have something. I got something in the mail. Right. I got something in the mail, and it's hold on, let me remove this. Now, check this out. I got something in the mail. It was, I got an email that said, "Hey, we want you to check these out." Okay, I said, "Okay, fine." It is Fermo. Okay, Fermo glass. It is a glasses company, right? It's a glasses company. Okay, let me see what it is. And okay, it has little instructions here, and I got a little free gift card for like 50% off of frames, right? But now Fermo is a glasses company, and I so let me see. It came in this nice little wrapping here. Oh, this is nice. Yeah, yeah. See, yeah, I got glasses. Yeah, I guess I need to see. All right, shout out to the Fermo fam. Yeah, I got some glasses, and these are pretty cool. So but so shout out to the Fermo fam. And so these are the YSL 62225 black, and they're clean. They're about $39.99. But if you use my code RQE50, RQE50, you get 50% off the frames. See what I'm saying? And so that can go with, you can put your prescription in there, you can click on the website, the links in the description, and you can get some decent glasses and just use my code there. So shout out to the fam. They said, King Cam, you need some glasses, we got you. So yeah, I like them. So check them out. Yeah. Yes, I do wear glasses. They're prescribed. These are not, but there is I do need to go back to the eye doctor. I need to go back to the eye doctor. But what you do, you go on the website, you type in your prescription, and it's good. So these are, normally glasses run between $100 and $300 sometimes, and these, pretty reasonable. See what I'm saying? And like I said, when you click on that promo code, you'll get them 50% off. But yeah, and I noticed, look, it has that blue light protection. So when I'm reading and I'm online and I'm doing my research, I can protect my eyes. So I needed the glasses. So shout out to Fermo, and comes with a box. You know what I'm saying? You can't beat that. So I won't lose them this time, because I did lose my other glasses. You know what I'm saying? Or did I lose them on purpose? See what I'm saying? But yes. Yeah, they blessed me with some glasses. So, but let's get yeah, yeah, they are nice, and they're really nice. They really are. And check them out. You know what I'm saying? And let's go. Let's get it. Now, here we go. So we answer the question. If you answered it correctly, but I'm asking you guys for your opinion. Since we on war, since we on that, in your opinion, who was the greatest Kemetic king of all time? Okay, in this category right here. Okay, who's the greatest of all time? Amos, Tutmosis III, Amenhotep III, or Ramses II? Like and comment below. Who you got? Now I'm gonna tell you, I don't want to sway, but all of them got great stories. All of them do. Okay, so who do you got? Who's the greatest, in your opinion? Who's the greatest Kemetic king of all time? Amos, the founder of the 18th dynasty, basically the greatest golden age of Kemet, to Moses III, basically they call him the Napoleon of Egypt. Amenhotep, that's Queen Ti's husband. Ramses II. Let me know. Like and comment below. Now, African creation stories and the spiral of time. So, before there was Earth, right? In Kemet, before there was Earth, there was Nun. There was the waters of Nun, the primordial waters, infinite and undisturbed. From its divine abyss rose the Atun, the self-created one who emerged atop of the Benben, right? The sacred mound symbolizes the first place of creation. This was a geological event, and it was a spiritual blueprint of how all things come into form from the formless. Yeah. And so across the continent of Africa, the creation stories, they were tales, and they were not only, they was basically stories to explain the unexplainable. Encoded, they broke down science, they broke down cosmology, they revealed how ancient civilizations understood the origin of life, time, and eternity. Okay, these myths were they set your eyes on the physical creation, but they also had you focus in on rebirth, time, and consciousness. You see what I'm saying? So Now, dealing with Yoruba, I told y'all we was going to get this. I told y'all we were about to do this. See what I'm saying? So, yeah. This shout out to the family in Nigeria. Okay, the Yoruba, dealing with the Yoruba cosmology, the supreme creator Olodumare. Okay, he tasked Obatala with the forming of the earth. Obatala descended from the heavens on a chain of light, carrying with him the sacred soil and five-toed chickens. Okay, as he poured the soil and the chickens scattered it, the land emerged from the watery abyss. Again, there it is. From the water, from this abyss, land emerged, just like the waters of Noon and the great primordial mound. Right? Very similar stories. There is a connection there. Okay, so this poetic, it comes from this land emerged from the abyss. This poetic parallel, it reminds you of Kemet. It connects you to Kemet. So in Yoruba cosmology, the supreme being is Olodumare, right? The infinite source beyond form. Olodumare sends the Orisha. There are several. I know we have like the traditional ones that we hear about all the time: Shango, Imoja, Isu, Ogun. Okay, but there are others, right? So he sends Orisha like Obatala to shape the earth. Obatala descends on the chain into the watery abyss below. So, but deeper than the concept of Ashe, when you hear them say when they give a greeting, or when they speak information, or they speak in life into somebody, you hear them say Ashe. Okay, that is the divine force, a force of creative authority that flows from Olodumare into everything, like the breath of life. Or when you see the people, when you see the Netaru or a king or queen of Egypt holding the ankh and putting it on somebody's lips, or basically on their head, they're speaking life, or they're sharing life with them. Okay, Ashe. Okay, it's reminding us that the sound and word is a technology, it's a science. It's speaking life, speaking positivity, the breath of becoming, the same breath invoked in the Kemetic term who. Okay, that is the God of utterance. So the term Ashe, you will hear that, and so and you when you hear the people greet each other in Nigeria, they say Bawani, they say my war, they say how you doing? I'm doing fine, and they go into greeting each other or whatever. You hear them say Ashe, they agree with that. Dogon cosmology, the Dogon people. Okay, now in the Dogon cosmology, among the Dogon, Amina, Ama. See, we did Yoruba. Now we're gonna touch on the Dogon. Ama creates the world through a spiral motion. The spinning pole, a symbol of generative unfolding. Okay, the spiral in Dogon cosmograms reflect not just space but a cyclical unfolding of time. Okay, this knowledge is a constant and it's an endless unfoldment, right? The Nomo, as we mentioned before, the twin ancestral beings bring speech, water, and order, aligning it with the Egyptian concepts. Here's another connection with Jehuti or thought, and Osiris as divine bringers of law and harmony. Okay, so we have the Yoruba. Okay, we have the Dogon. Okay, we're not done with them, but we'll come back to them in a second. Now, Congo. Yeah. Congo, South Central Africa. Okay. Now the Congo, we have the Congo cosmogram. That is the Kalunga Line. It divides the physical world from the ancestral realm. This is the best visual representation of I've seen that divides the spiritual from the physical. Okay. From the swirling waters of the Kalunga, life arises. The cosmogram is a sacred symbol. It depicts a cycle as a spiral, just like the Dogon when they talked about the spiral, right? It's a cross within a circle, encoding the transmissions of birth, to death, to rebirth again. So it starts here. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, library without borders. Here we go. Let's go. All right, so it starts at birth here, okay, and it goes to middle age and then maturity and so on, and then back to the waters, back to the ancestral world, right? And then the ancestral plane that is here, and then back to life again. Okay, so you have this circle of life here. We have the Kala, which is fire, the Tukula, and Luvimba. Okay, that's water. Musoni, that's air. And you notice a lot of our African customs, it deals with the elements. It deals with all four of them: earth, wind, fire, uh, air, and water, right? So it deals with it deals with all of the elements. You cannot have one without the other. Okay. And it also, just like, remember because here it comes, Library Without Borders. Here you go. Remember the Dendera calendar, the star calendar, and I talked about the 4 cardinal points as well as the equinoxes here. Here they are. Okay. So that you can kind of see it already. You can see it already, but we're not done. Okay. So in the Congo tradition, in the Bakongo tradition, all things emerge from the Kalunga Line, a spiritual boundary between life and death, water and fire, land and sky. The creator, Nzambi Mpungu, causes existence to erupt in 4 phases mapped on the Dakina cosmogram. Okay, each quadrant of a sun cycle: birth, maturity, decline, and transition. This model reflects linear African time system. Okay, it moves in spirals. So the Greco-Roman world would have everything, time goes this way. In African custom, it is cyclical. It is a circle. It is evolving. It is moving forward, but it's still going in a circle. So this reflects the nonlinear African time system. Time moves in cycles, not lines. It's cyclical, not linear. Every ending has a return. Okay, that's why it's important. Whenever somebody has a child, they try to, some of the elders try to figure out who came back. Try to figure that out, right? So in this cosmogram, that echoes the Nile-based circular festivals, the Hebset festival, and the soul's return through the duats. We talked about the Book of Gates a few weeks ago, how Ramses goes into the duat in 12 hours and returns, right? The sun rises again, right? These myths, though from different regions, speak the same sacred language, a divine force emerging from water. The Yoruba, right? Who else? The Dogon, and now Congo. Regionally, they are miles apart, but they have a similar story. They have a similar connection. Let me see what the fam is talking about. Don't forget to hit the like button, though. All right, so it said, "Oh, I got some things to tell my dad. He will be impressed." Yeah, I just, I'm doing what I can. See what I'm saying? But much love to the fam. I'm enjoying this, and I got a few books. I have a few books. I'm not done though. Got a few books. Let's go. So, now, they have a shared pattern, right? I'm about to get into story time in a second. They have shared pattern. All these myths began with water. They began with a sound, okay, like ashe and light. All these are primordial forces. There's always a duality in it. There's a twin aspect, the male and female. There's a creator, something that's being created, okay? Whether it be the Nomo, the Orisha, or the Kemetic, dealing with the Shu and Tefnut, it's a recurring theme of balance. It's a theme of Ma'at. And it's always a word being spoken. Okay, there's always, because our words have power. And so, like, be it Ashe or Hu or Nomo's voice or Ptah. The word Ptah sounds like an explosion. So Ptah is a idea of creation. Okay, a reminder that language itself is a sacred force in African creation. That's why some of these old school rap artists are coming out and they whooping everybody because they know words have power. You see what I'm saying? So even in sacred geometry of, say, the cosmic egg found in, say, the Dogon cosmology, Egyptian cosmology, we see that life is born through a process of incubation and then rupture. And then so we have incubation and then emerging, right? So it wasn't an explosion, so to speak, but it was a dance of frequency. It was a rhythmic vibration. It was unfolding of a divine will. Okay, these stories are more than myths. Okay, these stories are more than myths. They're science. And speaking of that, shout out to King Hercules. He did a masterful job talking about black mathematics, and he broke down that space, that space in between spaces, bro. I love history, but this dude, he knows math, and the brother's brilliant. Okay, shout out to him. And so matter of fact, I'm gonna try to bring King Hercules on to discuss black mathematics. Yeah. Before, I'm gonna try to do before we take a break in September or right after. Y'all let me know. But yeah, King Hercules did a fantastic job. Shout out to the fam. So these stories are more than myths, they were rituals, okay? Invitations to remember how we are shaped by breath, how we are shaped by rhythm, by frequency, and the water. Now, true story. My ancestors, my on my mother's side, okay, my mother's side are they're from Arkansas, right? And so, and they're most of them are laid to rest in the same place. Okay, they're laid to rest um in Roston, right? And my aunt told me long time ago, my aunt told me that it was close to a river. So even that, you saw some African custom, you saw some Congolese ideology, because I did a little research. So some of my modern ancestors were from the Congo area also. So a lot of this is near and dear to me also. But let me see here. Let me get back to story time. I got a few stories to tell. Let me see. Let me see what I got. Let me see what I got. Now I have a book. Okay, this is African Myths of Origin. Okay, this is a really good book. I think you guys, it's a good storybook. It's good for children. And shoot, they have stories like a Khufu and a magician. And here's one concerning the kingdom of Congo. Okay, there's one kingdom of Congo. A man named Amina Nzima married a woman. It's always a man and a woman in the story. Uh, Lukini Luazani, who was the daughter of Nsaku Kalu. They had a son, right? And so Amina, he settled in a high rocky place where he can control the trade routes and exact tribute from those passing through, and where he controlled the ferry crossing of the river. So one day, his son was managing the ferry when a woman came and refused to pay the toll, claiming that she was a sister of Amina Nzima. Okay, the son refused to let her pass. So basically, low key, he refused to let his aunt pass this way because he didn't know her. You may just be talking. Okay, the son refused to let her pass without payment, and the argument became so violent that he stabbed her, even though now she was pregnant. His father proposed to punish his son, but the people rose up and acclaimed the son as their king. Wait a minute. This person stabbed the lady and they made him the king. Leukemia led them on a path of conquest and then settled the kingdom, dividing and allocating the provinces, laying down laws. His uncle, Nsaku Kalu, established a separate but subordinate lineage in the province of Bata. I guess this was one of the stories concerning how Congo separated themselves from Angola. Okay, this is one of them. Okay, and this is origin story of the kingdom of Congo. Here, the Mutinu. Okay, this is this was a version they found in 1710. Mutinu, a woman named Nalushimi, wanted to cross the river. It's always a river. Okay. But the ferryman, another ferryman, was taking too long waiting for the boat to fill up before he started the passage. She reproached him. She talked about him bad. Okay, complaining that he was taking so long so he mocked her, asking if she was a queen or who are you, right? Or the mother of a king, right? To require and deserve such immediate service, right? She went home and complained to her son, Mutinu Elushini, and he consoled her with the promise that she would become the mother of a king. So he assembled his people, they crossed the river and launched a career of conquest. This was the origin of the kingdom of Congo. So a mother wanted to cross the river and they didn't let her make it. So she told her son. The son was like, I bet. They brought their people and this is the origin of the kingdom of Congo. So this is quite a few other stories here, but we gotta get into some more of that connection between Kemet and Congo. We're not done with that. So, but yeah. So now, is there the cultural connection between Congo and Kemet or the Nile Valley, Library Without Borders? Now, here comes some more information. New information is loading. Here we go. Now, before we get into that, though, for those who are new, if you're enjoying this information, hit the like button, subscribe. All right, that really helps us out. You know what I'm saying, and pass the word because we're about to get into it. Now, there are some similarities. All right, there are some similarities. So when you have the, let me see when you have Kemet, let me see if I got this map here. When you have Kemet at the very top, a lot of people will say, okay, Kemet is not connected to Congo at all. Well, the Nile River connects them. Okay, the Happy River connects them. And you already heard some of the similar stories that they had, right? You already heard that the actual, let me see if I can find it. Oh, I'm going too far. But there are some, when you see, all right, I'm gonna go back to the cosmogram. Just this, okay? When you see that this is a king in Central Africa, okay, and you see Osiris right there. Pictures don't lie, okay? They're sitting in a similar posture, okay? And not only that, Congo and Uganda is at the very base and foundation of the Nile River. So you guys are, because there are some people that'll tell me, and they would say that there is no connection, bro. That's basically, you're basically saying that I'm not connected to my grandmother, okay, because she was born in the 1920s. So you're saying because Congo and the Batwa people, you telling me they didn't go upriver to the Nile, up the Nile River? Yeah, there are several cataracts and stuff like that. This is a 20,000 plus year situation. And so wherever the river went, they brought their culture, they brought their knowledge, they brought their influence. And so when you see that life cycle, when you see, let me see if I can go back to it. Yeah, when you see this life cycle here, if you put the stem further down there, it looks like an ankh by itself. And for those who've been paying attention for a while, we have the midnight sun here, the Book of Gates down here, and the Aket, the horizon right here. Okay, and it also talks about a moon at the rising of the sun, a moon at noonday, and a moon at the setting sun, and a moon at the midnight sun. So they are connected. Okay, a lot of people say that. Now, yes, because of the Berlin Conference, because of all that was going on, Kemet and Congo, quote unquote, or Egypt or whatever, are not connected, bro. But culturally, okay, shout out to Professor Asar Imhotep. He's a linguist, and he broke down how the language is very similar. Okay, so when you hear people, when you hear their last name Ba, or you hear Ka, or Key Congo, or Buck Congo. Okay. My name is Marcus, and some people say Mr. Marcus. I'm the same person, but it depends on who's addressing me, right? King Ham, right? The root language, you hear it echo throughout the continent. Shout out to Yaka Shabaka. Even in the Fulani and the Mendinka, that has some meta-nature words in it. So yes, there is a connection between the Congo and Kemet, if we're really looking. But most of these people who are racist, they don't want to see that. They would say that Kemet has more connection to Iran than Kemet has a connection to Sudan. Say what I said. So, yeah, there is a connection. And now, and as time going, we will get a little bit more into that. So, hit the subscribe button. Now, there are some similarities. Okay, there are similarities even in because we about to get into the divine forces and the Netzeru. You're gonna see a lot of similarities, right? And get this, the Hausa and even the Fulani in their oral tradition, they say they came from the Nile Valley. They didn't say they came exactly from Egypt, but they came from the Nile Valley. And yours truly did some research on his own genetics and found out that his ancient ancestors came from Sudan. So they're not lying. Okay. So for those who like to say they are FBA and all these other words they like to use, if you run that DNA test, you'll find out something different. Very welcome. Let's go. Now, so we're going to get into these divine forces, right? Yep. So this is the heart of the matter, okay? Where names echo across the rivers, across deserts, and the mountains. The divine takes on many forms, okay? There's many names, but there is a hidden one, right? This segment goes into the powerful and varied pantheons or the Netzeru of the nature of the spirit of the African cosmology. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I'm an enthusiast. I enjoy this kind of stuff, right? So now, before I get to that, I got a question. All right, before we get to that, I got a question, fam. Got a question. Destiny written. Would you rather just say destiny? Would you choose destiny? It is written, or free will? I wrote it myself. Okay, like and comment below. Destiny, it is written, or free will? I wrote it. Like and comment below. Okay, because a lot of African custom, a lot of African tradition is, be it good or bad or indifferent or in between, is based on choices. See what I'm saying? And so, yeah, is based on a choice. Okay, so so which one? Destiny or free will? Okay, what do you think? What do you think? Okay, like and comment below. Now, in African cosmologies, African cosmologies are not built on distant Netzeru ruling from afar, but energetic intelligences woven into nature, community, and the self. Our ancestors, okay, they are very near and dear to us. Even the Netzeru are near and dear to us sometimes. So the deities are cosmic principles. Whenever it comes down to, say, the Ennead or the Orisha, okay, it is a principle. Somebody asked about, say, African spirituality or whatever, that kind of thing. Well, they asked about practicing it. I said, well, I guess you can do that. But the thing is, we can't do what our ancestors did 15,000, 1,500 years ago or whatever. All you can do is bring forward some of those ideals and some of those principles, right? Some of those concepts like ma'at or justice or balance. Okay. And so deities are cosmic principles embodied guiding forces, nature, like the waterfalls, the human experience, love, war, healing, birth, justice, ritual cycles. Now, like I said before, leave me alone. I'm no professional, nor do I claim any in-depth knowledge in the coming subjects. Okay. So I'm just saying, leave me alone. Okay. I'm not an expert, but I am an enthusiast. Okay. Okay. I love African culture. A lot of people, a lot of Sister Linda said free will. Okay. Library Without Borders. We still not done. We still not done with that part. Free will. Free will. Okay, so you said I'm writing this. I'm doing this. All right, let's get it. Let's go. All right. Now, the Yoruba. I told y'all we was gonna come back to it. Y'all thought I was playing. Okay, so we have the Yoruba. In Yoruba cosmology, Olodumare is the supreme source. It's too vast to be fully grasped and understood, right? But through Olodumare, emanate, say, the Orisha. Now, I wish I had another picture, but I saw it today. But there was a diagram, a Kemetic diagram, and it had the sun in the middle, and it had it very, like the Aten, whatever, different the arms outstretched, like rays of light, right? So these rays of light emanate the Orisha, divine intermediaries, in which with roles and attributes. Like, for example, let me see. For example, we have Obatala. Obatala is the creator of humanity, according to Yoruba tradition. White robe, Orisha of purity and wisdom. He molds the head and the seat of divinity, or the Ori. Okay. Now, in the Baptist church, in the Baptist tradition, for those who are in the southern part of the United States, okay, there is a Sunday called First Sunday. All right. And what do the women wear, especially if you're at an old school, traditional, missionary Baptist church? What do they wear? They wear white. Okay, they wear white. A lot. The reason why, say, the Baptist tradition resonated with our ancestors is because it was very similar to a lot of what they experienced and saw in West Africa. Okay. So we got Obatala, right? Now we have Ogun, god of iron, transformation, and war. Blacksmith deity who carves paths through wilderness and injustice. Shout out to the fam out there in Louisiana and in many other places where, and matter of fact, in Brazil, okay, they still get down like that. And the reason why some of the people on those plantations, the Uzungu, who did not want the drums to be played, was because it incited the ancestors and caused them to remember who they were and what they was about. And some of them was connected to Ogun right here. Yep. And they had that thing called that good old thing called the machete, and they went to work. See what I'm saying? So you see what I'm saying? So we have Obatala, we have Ogun, and we have Imoja. The mother of waters governs childbirth, maternal energy, and rivers, deeply tied to the moon and tides. Now, I know there are some connection to Kemet with each one of them. Okay. I think, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Imoja is connected to Aset. Okay. I think. Okay. And I think Obatala is connected to Amun or Ra. All right. So each one of them have a similar connection. Then we have that boy Chango. Okay. Thunder, god of thunder and lightning, Orisha of kinship and fiery justice. Sister Blue said free will. Yeah. I agree. And so we have Shango. Okay. And now for those who are, shout out to Theo B and the Rock Women Nation. They have Thor over there in the Marvel comic universe, but we have Shango. I'm just saying. I ain't saying, I'm just saying. We have Shango. All right. So a lot of these comic books, a lot of their stories came from African mythology. Okay. And what they did, they just flipped it, repackaged it, just like everything else, repackaged it and made it into a comic book of some kind. You see what I'm saying? So that's the thing. We have to be and the funny part is, I think somebody mentioned this, but in school, you can study Greek mythology, you can study all kind of literature and everything else, but when it comes down to African cosmology, or just, we're not even talking about believing in it, we're just talking about reading it. Nope, can't do it. Why? Because Shango may show up, or they say I'm strong like Ogun, or I'm wise like Obatala. And then you won't be able to tell these black and brown children what to do. You see what I'm saying? And we have Isu or Legba, trickster, messenger, and guardian of the crossroads, opens or blocks all doors. So I have another story here. Okay, in a little book. Issues is the only one of the Yoruba tricksters that because they always have to have one. Okay. And at the time of creation, here's another story. This talks about his knowledge here. At the time of creation, the various Orisha went to their father's house to receive their powers. Okay. At the time, Ishu had no possessions or farm to delay him. So he arrived first. He got there first. He stayed and helped the father as he carved the various beings that would fill the world. He did not get impatient, but he stayed 16 years helping his father. Other Orisha would come and stay for 48 days, waiting until the father assigned them a post and duties. Then they left and returned to their homes or farms. Isu did not leave. He learned how the father shaped humans. The other ones got what they want to get and moved on. He learned. Isu sat back 16 years. He learned how he made humans. He learned how he made their hands, and how he made their feet and their eyes. And Isu learned everything. So finally, the father told him to go and take his place at the crossroads. He said that everyone is coming to see him. So he said that everyone coming to see him should give Isu a gift, and everyone leaving should give him a gift. So Isu became wealthy. He knew where to go. So he said, lazy men live by their wisdom. Only fools do not know how to manage their affairs. Once again, he said, lazy men live by their wisdom. Only fools do not know how to manage their affairs. So he said, look, everybody got to come see me regardless. Okay. Everybody go to their farms, come and go. But I'm wise enough to know human tendencies. He said, I'm wise enough to know what's going on. So that's Isa. Okay. So the Orisha correspond with the natural forces and psychological archetypes. To honor them is, in a sense, to align oneself with divine law, with the Ashe, with the Iwapele. Okay, good character and balance. Okay. Yeah, we did. We did call your name, sir. Welcome. All right. Yeah. So that's the reason why. That is the reason why that they don't want our children to learn those stories. They don't want the children to learn those stories. They don't want our children. So, because once you learn those stories, because they find out that there was over 300 slave rebellions in the United States, because a lot of them heard those stories. You see what I'm saying? And so, yeah, they got down. All right. So now, Kemetic forces, the Kemetic Neteru forces of Ma'at and order. In ancient Kemet, the Neteru the gods were called Neteru. Okay, they were sacred. They represented principles of nature or chemicals or chemistry, maintain Ma'at and divine balance. Right. So we have Ra, the solar principle, the giver of life, traversing the sky by day and the Duat by night. Okay, we have Aset, okay, the goddess of healing, sacred motherhood, and resurrection, inventor, a magical speech, and the throne of kingship. Okay, and the thing is, in order, yes, we have Heteru that verifies that, right? But Aset is the one that says, hey, this person is going to be king. Okay, because you see some images where there's a throne on her head. See what I'm saying? And there are some images where, like, say, for example, King Tut is sitting on the head of Aset. Okay, that means that she validated him. Okay, so here we go. We have Osiris or Asar, Lord of the underworld, the green one, the resurrection, the symbol of spiritual evolution and life after death, right? Then we had Set. Now, Set gets a bad rap. Okay, Set gets a bad reputation, and the dude was he was that guy before the dynasties began. Okay, in Nubia and many other places, Set was the guy. Okay, and matter of fact, I think in my memory, if my memory serves me correctly, Set is named as one of the pre-dynastic kings in the king's list. Okay, he's the embodiment of chaos and necessary disruption. It's not just chaos just to be chaotic, but it was necessary. Okay, in order for things to change, in order for you to get going, or in order for you to do what you set your mind to do, you got to get up. There's some chaos in that. There's some thinking in that. Then there's some action in that, right? So he was originally the guardian of the desert before being demonized in later periods. Let me see if I have something on him. Let me see. See, this book is good, y'all. Let me see if I have a story on Set. No, I do, but I don't think I have time. Yeah, because I gotta the Library Without Borders. We still finna finish the rest of that question though, with that Kemet and Congo connection. I'm not done with that. But yeah, get the book. Enjoy. Okay. Now we have Thought or Tahuti. Okay, the divine scribe, patron of wisdom, language, time, and lunar calculating or lunar calculate, lunar calculation. Okay, he's also him and Sachet, I think. Him and Sachet, the scribes, you see the pen in his hand, the scribes are connected to him. He writes, okay? He just observes, okay? So the scribes are connected to Houthi. So these Netaru, okay, these Netaru are not separate gods, but a manifestation of divine function inside of who you are. Okay, they reflected in nature, myth, and personal transformation, right? And so, like I said before, if you're enjoying this content, don't forget to like and subscribe. And because we're about to get into the Zulu, we're about to deal with the Zulu real quick, okay? Because I told you we're gonna get down further south with this, right? So, across the continent, the divine stories continue. We have, of course, the Dogon. We spoke about the Nomo and the twin amphibious beings who descended from the star Sirius to bring knowledge and vibration creation. Began with Amma, A-M-M-A. He said, love you, Jehuti. Yeah, wisdom. To love Jehuti in the sense is to love wisdom, right? Yeah, gotta have some sense, right? And so, and when I think about the word Amma, A-M-M-A, it's very similar to Amun, the hidden one, right? The creator stirred the cosmic day. And we have the Dinka in South Sudan. Shout out to the fam in South Sudan. The worship the Nalik, they worship Nalik, the Sky Netaru, who created all beings and assigned divine roles to cattle, rain, and earth spirits. Even delegation, there's a story about, each story has something to do with divine assignment or delegation, right? Then we have the Zulu, the Amazulu. Okay. He said, I feel so free. Yeah. African history is supposed to be free. See what I'm saying? It is. It's Hoop Daddy 7 says, peace, peace. So isn't the hieroglyph Setra or Haru is the reverse of I haven't seen it like that. That's interesting. Okay, he's basically, Hoop Daddy is saying, if you spell out Horus and spell out Set, they're kind of in reverse. I haven't tried it, but I got to really look at it. But normally you would see a king standing between Set and Haru. He needed both, because you notice these Set, even though he was the author of chaos and confusion or whatever, they did not destroy him. He was necessary. He was needed to bring change. He was needed to bring forth Haru to the throne. He was needed in a sense to bring all the other Netaru and the kings together to make that last decision of making him king, right? Okay. So the Zulu, okay, so they honor. I'm terrible with wording, right? I'm terrible with wording. The Unkulukulu. Okay, is it Unkulukulu? Okay, the first being emerged from reeds. We hear another emerging from the abyss or emerging from the river. This one is emerging from reeds. Zulu myths also speak of lightning as a spiritual force. And they speak of sacred serpents connecting heaven and the earth. Okay. And they believe that there are the sun people. And shout out to the fam, the Zulu fam out there in South Africa. Yeah, they also in the ba untu. Okay, ba untu. You hear bakwa untu or ba untu. That word ba is soul. Untu means people, soul people. When you hear Bantu, ba untu, that's soul people. They believe that they came from the sun, just like some of our ancestors believed that they came from the stars. And of course, the sun is a star, right? So then we have, of course, in the hold on, let me get to that in a second. In the Congo Basin, okay, the creator Netru is often called Nzambi Mupungu, the Great Spirit. Okay, I didn't have enough time to slide on this one. His feminine counterpart is Nzambiki, okay? Nzambi Mpungu, okay? Nzambi Mpungu is the great spirit, okay? I would call him the big king, okay? Maybe one day I'll discuss that story, okay? Nzambi Mpungu and his wife Nzambiki, okay? Mirrors Isis in her lunar, watery and maternal nature. Together they create and sustain life, male, female, man, woman, child. The Congo cosmogram, the Dinka, the Kinga cross reflects the same principles of balance, transition, and rebirth that we will find in Ma'at. Okay, that's the reason why I got hung up on that a few minutes ago, because I knew that idea was coming, but but here you go. Just as Isis resembles Osiris, so does Zambiki uh, move across the realms from dawn to dusk, from birth to death, east to west, keeping the soul in harmony with time and spirit. So we see some similarities. We also see some similarities in the story, right? Congo and Kemet. So we'll get back to that in a few minutes, though. So hold tight, because I'm going to answer that question. And so we have Nzambi Mupungu and his wife, and we have Osiris and Isis, and there's some similarities there in the story. Not the exact same, okay? For those who like to play on words, they're not the exact same, but they are similar, right? So, but we'll get to that in a few seconds, all right? A few more minutes. Temples, stargates, and sacred sites. Now, the ancestors built temples as, in a sense, a time machine. Every stone encoded a calendar, every axis pointed towards eternity. These sacred structures were not just architectural feats, they were spiritual technologies, right? They function as a resonance chamber connecting heaven and earth and the underworld, okay? And so at Dandara, okay, the Temple of Heteru is a masterpiece of cosmic design. We have Nut, the sky goddess, is painted, stretching across the ceiling. I mentioned that earlier, crossing the ceiling, showing, swallowing the sun in the west and birthing it in the east. A divine map of the solar cycle, but also a map of, say, a person's life cycle. The zodiac ceiling, which we saw earlier, captures constellations and planetary alignment, um, including the decans used to track time and ceremony. The Osirian at Abydos. Now, Abydos is one of the most ancient sites in Kemet. Okay, and this site is submerged near the water table, mimics the Duat. Okay, we discussed the hidden chambers many times before. This sacred site associated with Osiris, the Neteru of resurrection, reflects the soul's journey through darkness to light or darkness to rebirth. The entire temple was built below ground as a symbolic descent into the primordial water and the shadow. Okay, and so we discussed a few times how the book of Gates was was showing or giving an illustration of the souls passing through the duat, okay, through that underworld into the realm of the ancestors, or to be reborn. Okay, and so now we also because we discussed it in Blueprints of the Divine, Book of Gates, African Gatekeepers, and Sacred Geometry. We talked about the Amduat, the Book of Gates. So check it out. When you get a chance, check out that episode. We really broke that down. We really got heavy-handed with it. But we gotta deal with this though, because Nabta Playa was another sacred site, and that site was aligned with some stars also. Okay, we will talk about how some of these stones in the pre-dynastic era was lined up with the constellation of Taurus. Yeah, they were as above, so below for real. Okay, and so we have Nubia, northern part of Nubia, we have Gabel Bakar, and ancient Nubia temples were carved in alignment with the mountain silhouette. It was landscape, it was divine presence. The mountain was seen as a crown of our moon, and the temples there, temples were its living extension. The entire site mirrors the crown worn by the Nubian and Kemetic royalty. Now, and even older than that is this Nabta Playa. It predates Stonehenge. Nabta Playa predates Stonehenge. Okay, by over 1,000 years, stones arranged in radial and stellar alignments mark the solstice and the heliacal rising of Sirius. This was actual fact. Okay, so in a few weeks we will break that down. We will have a discussion about how Nabta Playa and the Nubians lined their stones up to the constellation of Taurus, and giving honor and respect to Heteru, because these Neteru are older than the first dynasty, right? So, of course, in Ethiopia, the rock-hewn churches of Lalibela formed a sacred grid that reflects both earthly and earth and heaven. Okay, they reflect the earth, the land, and then the heavenly constellations. Their construction echoes the concept of rebirth through descent. Each church, there's 11 churches in Lalibela, carved downward, okay, into the living rock, just as souls travel through the duat. Okay, in my opinion, this is my humble opinion, these are portals, these are stargates, places of transition, initiation, and divine communion. That's my opinion. Okay, it wasn't just going to a temple; you was going through spaces or planes of being or existence. Okay, it was more than stone; it was a stargate or a map. Right. So here we go. We talked about the Nile. We talked about star codes. We talked about African creation stories a little bit. Divine forces, temple stargates. Now, here we go. I told you I was going to come back to it. Man, is there a cultural connection between Congo and Kemet or the Nile Valley? Shout out to Library Without Borders. She gave me a challenge. And here it is, new information. Now, the Congo and Kemet reflections shared divinities and shared currents. They were connected, okay? Before we get into the Q&A, let's take a moment to get into a lesser discussed concept, but yet deeply profound links in African spiritual science, the connection between Congo and Kemet. The Congo people speak of, say, of course, the Kalunga Line, the threshold between worlds, between the physical and spiritual, between the living and the ancestors. This concept mirrors the Duat, okay? And this mirrors the Duat in Kemet, or the Aket, okay? So this is where the soul journeys through the stars and returns. Both traditions uphold the idea of the soul traveling through water, through darkness, into light. Water is a symbol, okay? Water is a symbol. It is a cosmic membrane, okay? It's a conduit. That's why we pour libations to the ancestors, Ashe, right? In Kemet, the west bank of the Nile was termed the land of the dead. There was an eastern side, and then there was a western side. Shout out to Big Brother Mo. He asked about the Valley of the Kings. The Valley of the Kings and Queens are on the western side of the Nile River. Okay, that's the land of the dead, where sunset marks the soul's entry into the unseen. Okay, in Congo cosmology, the Kalunga is a watery mirror, a liminal space where the soul crosses, it reflects, it reemerges in a new form. The cosmogram circle with sunset and midnight is a continuous cycle of becoming. Now, in both cultures, okay, the spiral represents life's continuity, and it's found the shapes of sacred. It's showed in tombs, it's showed in columns and initiation paths. This is the geometry. Let me get back to it. Let me see. This is the geometry of rebirth, of energy moving inward, and to remember the outward renewing of that spirit. So we discussed that story, the hidden word or the hidden name with that Aset wanted to get from Ra. And he told him, I am Kefara, Ra at sunrise. I am Ra at the midday sun. I am Ra Atun at sunset. There it is, Kala. Okay. And then noonday, and then Luvemba. Okay. I am Kala in a sense. Okay. I can't see the other term. I am Tukula at midday, and I am Luvemba at sunset. Okay, and then Ra, Amun Ra, the hidden one, the midnight sun. Okay, and so there is definitely a connection between Congo and Kemet. Let's continue. All right, so the Kemetic Ba, the soul that will fly, has an echo, has a concept in the Congolese concept of the Muyo. To my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong. I know the Congolese fan will correct me. The muyo, the breath or the vital spirit that remains after the body transitions, or that breath, the kilundu or jinzam, and the ba are invisible messengers, mediators between the living and the divine. Both traditions speak of a living soul that is never truly extinguished, only transformed. That energy only transformed. Okay. So also note that the words Ka and Ba are all over West Africa. Okay. You hear last names Ba, Ahmed Ba. Okay, in West Africa, people and places have the prefix or suffix Ka and Ba in it. Ba Amun or Ba Moon. All right, in Cameroon. So also note that there are parallels with ritual tools and priestly codes, staff topped with spiritual motifs, ancestral altars facing west. Okay, sacred chants using breath, the bridge between realms, right? And so this shows that African cosmology was never confined to borders. Okay, now check this out. This is the Nile River that I was alluding to right here. Okay, now you see where Egypt is, or Kemet, or Egypt as a state, or whatever. You see where the Congo is, right? They are connected. Okay. We're talking about Kemet as the child or the daughter, Nubia as the mother, Ethiopia is the grandmother, but Congo and Kenya, that is the great grandmother. Okay. Now, this is the same area, same similar area where there's a lot of rain. So they couldn't put any information in stone like that. So they had to pass it down orally from person to person. And by the time it got up to Ethiopia, then to Nubia, and then Kemet, it was then perfected and put in stone. So yes, there is a connection between Congo and Kemet from a spiritual standpoint. Okay. People may not want to admit that. That's their business. But as we can see, the umbilical cord of the Nile Valley stretches all the way up to Burundi and back. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah. But if you want to know more about that, okay, check out African Cosmology of the Bantu Congo. Okay. And check out this brother here. He's a professor. He wrote a book called Bu Congo. The Congo religion is Egypto-Sumerian connection. He made some great observations, and he is from the Congo area. He said, and he broke it down. He got a series of books that you guys need to check out. He made the connection. He said there is a spiritual connection between Congo and Kemet. And this is where we get a lot of this information from. We get that from him, and from shout out to Asar Imhotep and the fam out there. Check out Brother Asar Imhotep. He deals with the linguistics of it. And check out the land of Cam, the ancestral way there. They're pretty good. So just hit the like button, and check them out. Let them know that King Cam sent you. But yeah, there is, to answer the question, there is a connection between Kemet and Congo. So, this is the African custom. Okay, this is not just history here. This is a starlit path. This is a conversation between the modern and the ancient. Right, the ancients believe that you had a hidden name. Okay, a sacred code written in the stars before you were born. You got to have that conversation. To know it is to know your purpose. Right, the sacred code. To speak it is to speak destiny. Library Without Borders. Wow, that settles it then. Yeah, I have that book. Yeah. Now, some people would try to refute that. I've seen that too. Some people would try to go against that. That's their business. Because I'm too lazy to argue with people, especially people who don't have a face. Whenever, because I get a lot of pundits in the comments, and they say a lot of things, and they try to say negative things, and they don't have a face to a name, or they don't have a name to a face. It's a lot of letters and numbers or whatever. But the reality is there is a connection between Congo and Kemet. But it is a 20,000 plus year gap. See what I'm saying? And another reason why they want to separate Kemet from Congo is because a lot of people in North Africa, they call these people sub-Saharan, as if these people, the Bantu people, are beneath them. That's another racist, commentary that they will use. But yeah, fam, get the book, check it out. I do have the affiliate links in the description and all the things, right? So, but yes, there is a connection between Kemet and Congo. I did my ancestry research. I did my homework, and I found out that a lot of my modern ancestors, of course, came from Congo. They were Mandinka, and they were Fulani and things like that. But the ancient ancestors, they came from here. See what I'm saying? It was a connection. Okay, they traveled, right? And so, Congo and Kemet did connect. Okay, they shared divinities in a sense. They might not have the same names, but the principles and concepts were the same. Okay, so we're still in our summer series, Ethiopia, Kemet, and Kush, Unified Arc. We got a few more weeks on that. And the Echoes of Nubia, that's our series, and then our mini series every Thursday. I'm excited about it because we got Candique Amani Reina. She's up. We're gonna talk about her and the war against Rome, how she kicked them out. Okay, she didn't play no games. So that's coming out this Thursday, this week. And I can't kick the can long enough. Shout out to Brother Mo and Brother Ferguson. I can't keep postponing this. Yes, we are going to break down the Temple of Hatshepsut. I kind of touched on it, but I'm gonna have to address the Majestic Gateway. I'm gonna have to discuss the Jesser Jesseru next Sunday night. I'm gonna have to get to it. And if you want, we could break down Amenemhat III's Black Pyramid too. If you want me to break down Amenemhat III's Black Pyramid, his Black Pyramid, type in black in the comments. Like and comment black. Go ahead and do that if you want me to do that. But yeah, next Sunday we are going to get into the Majestic Gateway. and we're going to get into some Kemetic science. We're going to get some symbolism and all the things. So this is going it's going to be good. So I'm excited about it. I'm always excited about things. So, but yeah, we're going to talk about that. And so here are some books. The Wonderful Ethiopians of the Ancient Kushite Empire by Sister Drusilla Dungy Houston. Black Genesis. Check it out. I got the affiliate links in the description. Yeah, check that out. And of course, African Cosmology of the Bantu Congo. Get that. Shout out to King Hercules. I haven't forgot about you. We're gonna have to bring him on. King Hercules, he did a fantastic job talking about black mathematics. He was hidden. So yeah, we're gonna have to bring him on. Yeah, we got to. I'm saying if we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna have to talk about it. I think you guys have been around me long enough. Because I've been doing surface information, but now we're starting to go into detail about things. So yeah, we're gonna go deep. We're gonna talk about the Jesu, the symbolisms and everything of these temples. We're gonna talk. If you want me to talk about the Black Pyramid, type in black. But yeah, we're gonna get into that. So of course, the book is coming for by day, and Ethiopia: The Origin of Civilization by John G. Jackson. Of course, this is our book. We are working on that book. We will be getting into chapter 3 of the book. That is our book for the summer. We will be touching on chapter 3, and we're going to discuss how they emancipated, how the Ethiopian church split or emancipated from the Coptic church. Yeah, we're gonna get into that. Yeah. So, and of course, my book, of course, The Crusades and Jihad in East Africa. That's my first of many. Okay. We will have a book discussion and like probably before we take a break in September, but we're gonna get into that. Now, I'm gonna check roll. Okay, it's about that time. We're gonna check roll. But first, I got to acknowledge our new Ujumbe members. We have some Ujumbe members who signed up for membership. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so shout out to Abina Scott and Brother Mo. They are the Ujumbe Mwanafunzi. They are the students. They signed up, so they are the first of many Ujumbe students. They get the promo. They get information. They get heads up. They get the new videos before everybody else. They get all the things. So check it out. Join that and check it out. So shout out to my first two, Abina Scott and Brother Mo. And so join the membership, check it out. And shout out to our new Ujumbe fam, Amar Berry, Shaku, Courtney Lowry, Brother Edwin Moore, Sadiq, Vega Mega, let me see, RB, and a little bit of me, honey. And the alumni. Shout out to the Ujumbe alumni who's been rolling with me for the last 5 years. This podcast had been in existence for 5 years. Yeah. Shout out to Black on Black, Deborah Keaton, Valerie J, Brown Like Me TV, Brother Ferguson, and Black Buddha. If you are present and I didn't call your name, comment here. Yeah. Shout out to Library with Our Boy. She said, "Thank you for this, King. I'm feeling that much more connected to the ancestors, as you should. That is my job. My job is to teach history, but also encourage us to know our history and our ancestors. See what I'm saying? And my love for history started with my own. It did. Okay, it started with my own, and so yeah, so if you are present, if you are here, let me see. Shout out to King Hercules. Shout out to the fam. I saw Brother Mo, Hoop Daddy 7. Enough is enough. He said, I feel so free. Enough is enough. Isu. Okay. Miss Blue is here. Okay. Linda Willis. Yaka Shabaka. I know he's in Morocco. Shout out to Abina Scott, one of our members, our esteemed members. Okay. But yeah, and Grand Madam Tarot. Okay, shout out to the fam and Rock With Me Nation. We're gonna bring them back. But yeah, I really appreciate you guys for rolling, for coming through. And let me see. Special shout out to Fermo for the glasses. These are good. I like these. Books A Million. It's a black thing. Ethiopian Airlines, Amazon. If you ever want to look at those books or get them, the affiliate links are in the description. Check them out. You Nice, Mika's Hair, Love Me Hair, and like I said, the affiliate links are in the description. Fermo, The promo code and information is all there. Now here's the promo code. If you want to get some glasses, go ahead and get that. Okay, the promo code for 50% off, RJQE50. Check it out. All right. Now we talked about the mysteries of African cosmology, the Nile as heaven's mirror, star codes, and Africa's calendars, African creation stories. Like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm just an enthusiast. We talked about divine forces, temple, stargates, and sacred sites. We did a bonus, Kemet and Congo connection, new member shout outs, and I check roll. Before we go, are there any questions or concerns? Are there any questions? You guys have any questions, or just something you'd like for me to do in the coming weeks? Okay. And by the way, if you like the content, share it with somebody that may enjoy it, or share it on Instagram or your social media of choice, social media platform of choice. Yeah. Yeah. He said, yeah, we all have to connect and build. Yeah. Yeah. This is a situation. I'm thinking about hosting, if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I'm thinking about hosting a live in person book club for real. Okay. The podcast can only go so far, but I'm really thinking about hosting a live and in-person book club. Okay. Shout out to the fam at Pan African Connection. We may have to get into that, but I don't like wasting my time. I don't like wasting people's time. So, but if you are in the DFW area, if you want me to host a book club, y'all can type in book club. Okay. But yeah, we got to connect and build. And the thing is, y'all, what happens is we would have one person, they're lecturing, and then they get old, they transition, and then we just stuck, right? My goal is, as a teacher, as a mentor, is to make other teachers. Okay, I do that for the various school districts. I might as well do it for the community. I am a teacher that makes teachers. So my job is to empower people to be able to teach whatever their expertise is. See what I'm saying? But we got to do that. We got to do it. Okay, so we got to do it. So yeah, we talked about the mysteries of African cosmology just a little bit, star codes, now Miss Ann creates a cycle. He's in DC. I'm sorry. Yeah. We're in the South. You know what I'm saying? We're in Dallas Fort Worth area. You know what I'm saying? So, but still, we're gonna keep the podcast going though. We're gonna still keep it going, and as long as we can, we're gonna make it happen. All right. So yeah, you got to listen to the mysteries of African cosmology, star codes, and now myths. Join the membership and all the things. So to get early access to videos, exclusive live streams, and all that. If there are no questions, okay, listen to King. And if you want to know more about the hidden codes and everything, I have a playlist for that. If you want to catch up with, say, the secret chambers or the Amduat, I got the video for you. But yeah, you listen to King Cam and Ujumbe podcast, and Ujumbe means message. And today's message is the mysteries of African cosmologies, star codes, now myths, and creation cycles. And I will talk to you later.